There it is, Alanna. We got to hit the bendy. Hit the bendy with us.
Hit the bendy for Alanna.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Blue Review, an April Fool's edition. But today's no joke. We got the great Alanna Rizzo with us today. Welcome on, Alanna. How are you doing this morning?
I am happy to be with you guys today on Blue Review. Back again with you guys. What's up?
Back again. Yes, Greg, I know we got a lot to get into. So I'm going to send it over to you. We're going to get right into it because when we have somebody like Alanna, we got to take up every single moment of, time we get. So without further ado, let's get into the Blue Review. Let's have some fun.
All right. Well, obviously, thank you very much, Alanna, for coming on. I really appreciate that you come on here as much as you do. But this team is pretty much amazing at this point, 6-0. And Tyler Glasnow reminded us that, Tyler Glasnow is actually a really good pitcher. He's not just the guy that didn't play in the postseason.
Yeah. I think I don't think this team's going to lose, right? I mean, no. I think they're going to go 173-0. I mean, that's counting the 11 wins in the postseason. Everyone's talking about 2-0, but why not just tack on 11 more victories? This is such a complete team, you guys, and it's so much fun to watch. And obviously, I'm being facetious. They will lose a game, maybe a couple, but the point is this is a team that is so well built and so stacked in so many different ways. You can have opportunities where you have a very young, unpolished 23-year-old phenom like Roki Sasaki that I'm okay if he goes AAA, honestly. Like, they have enough arms to be able to get things done. And Tyler Glasnow looked really, really good yesterday. And it's great to see him healthy. He knows he doesn't have to be the man. And I think that's what's so important about this team is like they have so many good arms that not everybody has to always be the stopper and they always have to be the guy. And they can kind of just like live in their own repertoire and live in what makes them successful. And it just keeps rattling off wins.
Yeah, so you mentioned something there with Roki Sasaki. Sasaki is if he goes down to AAA, like fine, that means he needs to go down there. He can't find the strike zone. Totally get all of that. This team, it feels like though, like they can actually handle that. They can handle a guy that maybe only goes an inning and 2/3 every 6 days and trying to help him figure it out. I mean, as if you were the Dodgers, is that something where you would send him down to figure it out down there, or try and work through it?
I certainly wouldn't have him. I think that messes with, it's kind of almost like a mind F if you only go an inning and a third and you get blown up and you have to come out of the game and then you're reliant on your bullpen for the rest of the game. I think he is such an unpolished, unfinished product that has unbelievable stuff. But I know that they want him to work on the fastball. It's a little bit too straight right now. We know about the splitter, but he obviously needs to work on a third pitch, right? He needs to balance out the repertoire to have a third pitch. And I don't know that necessarily working on the fastball at the big league level is the right thing to do. Let him get his innings in AAA. Let him kind of feel things out. He's 23 years old. And remember, he wasn't necessarily supposed to come to the United States for a couple of more years. And he could have made a lot more money, but he wanted to post and he wanted to get here. He wanted to pitch for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But let's not bag on this young kid yet, right? Like there's already people like, oh, he's terrible. He's a bust. He's not. He's 23 years old. He's had 2 starts at the big league level, and there's a lot to learn. Remember, Yoshinobu Yamamoto didn't look that great all year long last year. He had a couple of spurts of greatness, but overall, he was a work in progress as well. So I'm okay if the Dodgers option him to AAA. I think it's too much of a mental mind F if he, every outing he's only going an inning and a third. But they can afford the luxury of doing that if they need to, because last year I was so concerned about the lack of depth in the Dodgers starting rotation. This year it's a 180. There are so many great starting arms that they can afford if they need to send Sasaki down for a little bit.
And now, sorry, Greg, we get that first view of how comfortable they're going to be with May, going against Sale. So that's just another example. We'll see tonight how well he does before we get into all the Glasnow stuff, just to really solidify your point, Alanna.
Yeah, I mean, May, thank goodness he's healthy right again, but he hasn't really pitched, guys, consistently for a couple of years. So again, I kind of really wanted to see Dustin May in the bullpen. It didn't work out that way, and that's okay. I mean, maybe that's where he ends up. The Dodgers are going to put people exactly where they need to put them to succeed on a day in and day out basis. So to your point, we do get to say Dustin May tonight going up against the National League reigning Cy Young Award winner. So we'll see how that goes. But Atlanta's scuffling. So if they can continue, I have always told, if you see an opponent scuffling, if you see an opponent drowning, shove a hose in their mouth. And I think that's exactly what the Dodgers, kind of want to do. Is just continue to prove, because it's that old adage, you can't lose the pennant in April, or you can't win the pennant in April, but you can lose it. Every win matters, right? I mean, these guys, they're going to the postseason, but every single win matters for home field, for seeding, all the things.
Absolutely. I think that those last year, I think they swept the Brewers earlier in the year, and that helped later on because they were able to take those tiebreakers down the line. So I totally agree with you on that. With Dustin May, I was with you too. I think Dustin May's stuff is very much of that of a closer. Like, I would love to see Dustin May in the closer role because his stuff is just so nasty. He was great the other night, but you have him doing that for just an inning. Oh, it's shutdown. It's complete shutdown every time.
Yeah, but what do you do then with Blake Trinan? What do you do with Tanner Scott? What do you do with Kirby Yates? I mean, we had so many closers. It was such a luxury. And when I went to Camelback Ranch a couple of weeks ago with your boy Clint Pasillas, who I know is always on your show, talked to Kirby Yates, and I was like, "Who is the closer of this team?" And he's like, "I think we have 10." And he's not wrong. I mean, you have so many guys that can shove at the back end of the bullpen, and I love the fact that they brought Blake Trinan back. That was one of the first offseason signings, as you guys know. I wasn't even thinking of Kirby Yates. I really wanted Tanner Scott. I got him. And then Kirby Yates comes out of nowhere. I was like, what the hell? We have Kirby Yates too. And by the way, Evan Phillips is on his way back. He's healthy. He's just not ready yet. So plus you have Alex Vesia, Anthony Bonda, who came seemingly out of nowhere, who had massive innings last year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So this is such a good bullpen. You throw Dustin May in that mix too, if it's needed. It's really almost disgusting how good this team is.
It is disgusting, and it's disgusting what we saw yesterday in the great sense from Glasnow. Nearly perfect 5 innings, and then of course he shoved the rest of the day through. Alanna, just what did you see? I just wanted to kind of go a whole recap of Glasnow's performance yesterday. Of course, his first time pitching since, was it August 11th, maybe? We saw some amazing stuff.
I mean, the fact that he was shut down the second half of the season last year, and he was pissed, right? That he did not want to be shelved because of the narrative that he can't stay healthy, because of the narrative that he was coming off the most amount of innings that he's ever thrown. Of course, that was back when he was a Tampa Bay Ray. But Tyler Glasnow, to me, first of all, he's a whole heck of a lot taller than I thought he was. When I saw him, I was like, good Lord, you're tall. But he's just a guy that has that poise and conviction on the mound. And I think what we saw from him was what we expected to get from him, and what we were hoping to get from him last season if he were able to stay healthy. Again, it goes back to the fact that these guys don't have to be the man every 5th day. I mean, there were times, guys, where if it wasn't for Clayton Kershaw, you weren't certain what the heck you were going to get on every other start. Now, Clayton Kershaw is not even part of this rotation yet. And you pretty much have an unbelievable amount of faith in any single guy that runs out there. So Glasnow, when healthy, we know he's one of the best that can do it. And again, Blake Snell is the guy that they signed to be the bulk innings guy. And when I say bulk innings, I'm not saying come out of the pen and be the bulk innings guy. I'm saying that he's your workhorse. That this is the guy that posts every 5th day. He usually goes deep into games, and he's a guy that's not going to give you an inning and a third. That's why Blake Snell is here, right? And then you have obviously Yamamoto in his second season that is going to just get more polished and better. By the way, Shohei's not even here yet, and we don't need Shohei, honest to God, until the second half of the season. He will probably pitch before that, but we don't need him to. And his situation is unique, right? Because it's not like you can send Shohei out on a rehab assignment. He needs to be in the lineup every single day as the DH. So again, there's no reason to push him on the pitching side because you have so many other guys.
Yeah, and it's amazing seeing Glasnow what he does, because yes, I totally forgot. I remember him coming in last year and being really excited and having that innings, the most innings he's ever pitched before, and kind of being disappointed, like, oh man, it happened again. He had to go on the IL. They had to shut him down. That's disappointing. And you forget about him because in the postseason, we needed him. Except that you had Yamamoto just dealing, and they obviously won the World Series off their back end, the bullpen pitching, but they still won. And now he comes in and he throws almost a no-hitter through 5. Like, it's just, oh, yeah, that guy's really good too. It's just amazing to see this. And like, Tony Gonsolin's coming back. Let me ask you, who do you think, because we've seen Blake Snell, we've seen every pitcher now that is in the starting 5. Mm-hmm. At the end of this year, who do you think would be the best option? I don't think anybody wins it, but who would be the best option towards the Cy Young off of what you see as of now? It's tough.
That's really hard. What I loved about Glasnow, and I don't think he'll be a Cy Young Award candidate. I don't know. What I loved about him yesterday was the fact that he, as you mentioned, almost threw a no-hitter, but it was the swing and the miss, right? The 8 punch outs. That was very impressive to me. I love seeing that. That's tough. It's got to be somebody that has enough innings to qualify. It's got to be somebody that obviously keeps guys off the bases and keeps people from scoring. So the ERA is a factor, which obviously is not necessarily a pitching thing. I mean, there's other reasons why guys get on base. There are other reasons why guys score. But if out of the Dodgers, if I have to pick, I'm going to go with either Blake Snell, which would be tough 3 times, or Yamamoto.
Yeah, that's my guy. Yamamoto this year is my guy. Out of all of these pitchers, there's so many great ones out there. I feel like Yamamoto has the best shot to have the most innings, have the low ERA, have the punch outs, have all of the things that matter to the voters at the end of the year. I'm not sure if it will actually go that way because of the innings, but he would be my guy.
He's got to have enough innings, though, to qualify, and I think that's the only way that, again, for me, Tyler, it's because of health. For me, Blake Snell's been there, done that. For me, Yamamoto's it's only his 2nd year in Major League Baseball. So that's a little bit more difficult. Stuff-wise, if he could get it figured out at a certain point, I don't doubt that Sasaki at some point will be a Cy Young Award winner, but he's got to work on some things.
Yeah, I want to say, and I lost my note, and I'm so mad at myself. Our friend Clint, noted early March. I believe he went with Yamamoto.
Yeah, he did. He's high on him. He's big. Clint's big on Yamamoto winning the Cy Young this year.
Smart guy, that Clint Bacius.
So, real quick, Lana, and I don't want to get into this too much because I know Greg has a little stuff, but I was looking at the chat, and of course, the topic of baseball recently that's been going around.
Torpedo bats?
Torpedo bats coming out of New York. I heard Watson earlier in the broadcast yesterday, I believe, say Muncy would be the first to order off the Dodgers. But what have you heard? And also just this entire situation. Now, where do you stand? I know that it's honestly, I've heard some stuff on foul territory, and I think it's one of those things where it's polarizing. Some are like, hey.
Let me ask you this. If it was, let's pretend on opening day that it was Shohei Ohtani that hit 3 home runs. Pretend it's not even Nestor Cortez, okay? On the hill.
4 in a row, 4 pitches in a row for Nestor Cortez.
Out of the equation, okay? But let's say Shohei Ohtani had 3 home runs. So let's say it's back to back in our lineup, and they were all using torpedo bats. Would you be okay with it? Or would you be like, what the hell's going on? I think it just depends. Because it's New York Yankees, everyone's like, oh my gosh. But you guys, it's not just the Yankees. And this is not the first year that torpedo bats have been in existence. Every single team has guys that have been using this torpedo bat. And Major League Baseball has said that it is legal. Do they look strange? Absolutely. I mean, there were some guys, Xander Bogaerts was saying that he thought it was photoshopped. When he saw the picture of it, he thought it was a gimmick. I mean, they are odd looking bats. But they're not doing anything wrong. They're just changing the space of the barrel, obviously, to have more mass where the ball hits the bat more often than not based on the hitter. Now, again, if you are a guy that is a creature of habit, perhaps a torpedo bat's not going to work for you. But even Manny Machado, and I know Dodger fans say what they want about Manny Machado, but Manny Machado was mic'd up on ESPN the other day on Sunday Night Baseball. And he was saying, send some of those bad boys over to Petco because this park is gigantic. And I'd love to be able to see what it would do here. So, again, it's all within the Major League Baseball guidelines. You know, we are purists, and baseball is like, oh, my gosh, we can't change anything. If it's within what Major League Baseball says is okay, then I'm okay with it. And again, it comes down to a personal preference. I mean, Anthony Volpe was using it. Jess Chisholm Jr. was using it. Aaron Judge wasn't. Max Muncy says he's going to try it. And, you know, I have no issue with it. Oftentimes when we get all up in arms about things, we have to wonder, would we care as much if it was our team doing that? And I think it's just because it's the Yankees and, everybody likes to complain. They would say the same thing about Dodger players if they were using them and, having a major league record in home runs the first couple of games of the season.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers still have like 10 or 11 home runs also with them without torpedo bats. So the torpedo bats don't mean anything to me. I don't care one way or the other that they're using them because, like you said, it is completely legal. And if the Dodgers are doing it, fine. Like Chris Taylor, give it to Chris Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Vogt, the manager of the Guardians, was like, the dude still has to hit the home run. You can't just throw the bat at the ball and expect, the ball to go out of the yard. I mean, the hitter still has to hit the home run. So like anything in baseball, right? Whatever's going to give you the advantage, if it's legal, you're going to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, give it to Chris Taylor because Chris Taylor needs to hit to be able to figure something out for this year. But that's where I want to go next is with Chris Taylor, like what do you think is going to happen with him? I don't know how many at-bats he even has this season. It might be just a couple. I don't think he's started a game yet so far, if I'm remembering correctly. But what do you think happens with Chris Taylor? And is this kind of the swan song for Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, I hate to say that because I love Chris. I've always thought that he was I loved when we got him from Seattle. And I was like, who is this kid, Chris Taylor? And I was like, oh my gosh, Zach Lee, what are we doing? And then I was like, oh, thank God we got Chris Taylor. And later, Zach Lee type of situation, right? I mean, baseball's a finicky, pretty effed up game that will humble you quickly. And yeah, Chris needs to figure it out, right? And it's so difficult to be in the position that he's in because it's so hard to figure out your swing without constantly looking over your shoulder for playing time. And coming off the bench, it's so difficult to get into any sort of routine. Some guys thrive on it. Kike thrives on it in the moments that it matters the most. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of Kikes on that team, right? We have a lot of versatile players that can move around the diamond and can play different positions and those types of things. And Chris is one of those guys defensively, but you get paid in this league to hit. And, he just hasn't lived up to that performance he had that ended up giving him that extension of that 3-year contract with that big money. So I want nothing more for Chris to be able to figure it out. I did talk to him also at spring training a couple of weeks ago, and he did feel really good going into the season. But yeah, I mean, you have to hit and you have to hit consistently. So right now, he's not under a microscope because they're 6-0, right? But if there's a place in which he needs to come up big and doesn't, maybe the story changes. Again, I don't know where they go with this. You also have to figure, I mean, it is the Dodgers. They have $1 gazillion, but he still has a pretty hefty contract left to pay. So I thought it was either going to be he or Gavin Lux that got moved, and it was Gavin. So we'll see what happens with Chris, but hopefully I would love for nothing more for Chris to figure it out.
And Alanna, you mentioned consistency, and I think, Greg, this kind of leads into maybe your next topic of who's going to be more consistent in certain stats. I know you had a little
Get to that later.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, yeah, on CT3, just we had a situation, we had Barnes starting with Yamamoto, and these vets, even if they're not playing, I mean, you got to get a sense that this is still positive to the team. Like you said, Alanna, they're 6-0, so there's not a spotlight on them. The microscope's not on them. I guess just this team in general, this hot start, you haven't seen it since 81. How far do you see this streak going? I was just curious. I know that they got the Braves still, and they're in a slump, and you said you got to drown the teams that are drowning. How far do you see this streak going?
Oh my gosh. I hate predictions and I hate streaks.
Right.
Who's throwing tonight?
May versus Sale. Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, that's right. May versus Sale. You said that already, Parker. Sorry. I say the streak ends tonight. I think Chris Sale comes out and dominates just because he's Chris Sale, right? And you don't know necessarily what you're going to get, quite honestly, from Dustin May again. So, again, is the world ending? No. Pets' heads are falling off? No. But, I mean, maybe the streak ends tonight and they start the season 6-1. I mean, there's a lot worse things you could do. There's still 3 teams out there, guys, that are winless. I think the Twins are winless. I think the Brewers are winless. I think the Braves are winless, right? So, that's crazy. It could be a lot worse. But yeah, the streak ends tonight, but the Dodgers still win the division. I still think the Dodgers won 109 games this season. And as long as they get out of the DS, we're going to be just fine.
Right. That's all that matters. Get out of the Diaz, just move on, because once they get past there, he feels a little bit better. So one of the things that for me this season so far is when he signed, I wasn't big on him. Michael Conforto. I was not big on him when he was with the Mets. I didn't really like him when he was with the Giants, and now he's here, and everyone's saying that he's going to be the next Teo. He's going to be the guy that has this big breakout year again. I know he was pretty good with the Mets, but I don't have a lot of faith in him. He's been great so far in these first 6 games. He's been getting a lot of hits, bringing guys in, doubles. What do you think of Conforto? Actually, convince me on why I should be high on Michael Conforto.
I love Michael Conforto, and I love this signing, and I'll tell you why, Greg. Because he lengthens the lineup. I think one of the things last year that was so problematic for the Dodgers, other than the lack of starting pitching depth because of all of the dang injuries, was that the bottom part of the order was very, very anemic and very schizophrenic in terms of run production. And I think Michael Conforto, what he gives you from the left side of the plate, plus I love his defense. I think the Dodgers outfield defensively is better than most people give them credit for. And it kind of reminds me of the day, not exactly people calm down, but it reminds me of the day when like Ethier and Kemp were in the outfield a little bit in terms of the defense and the run production and stuff that they could give you. I love Michael Conforto in left. I love, I wanted kind of Tommy Edman in center field. I mean, consistently, but, with everything, the moving parts, Pages, I'm still kind of on the fence on. But I love Conforto, what he gives you to lengthen that lineup. And I think you need a key left-handed bat at the bottom part of the order to give that to you. So again, in the places that he was, I feel like he had a lot more pressure on him to be the man. Nobody has to be the man with the Dodgers because we have 26 men. And that's the situation with him. But no, I think he, like I said, I just think he gives you your lineup a little bit more length, a little bit more depth. There's no holes. I like that signing a lot. And he came at a reasonable price point too. It's not like you're paying him $1 gazillion. But I think he can be very effective exactly where he is in the order.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to listen to you. You're very much smarter than I am when it comes to the Dodgers, but I
wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's either way. I hope you're right. I was really high on Teo. I'm not high on Conforto. We'll see. I've been wrong many times.
Type of people, right? They're two totally different type of people. Teo is a top of the order, middle of the order guy, where and he doesn't have the best defensive numbers. But he arguably was the Dodgers' first half of the season MVP. I understand Shohei is the MVP of the team, but Teo carried that team offensively. He, in my opinion, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he, in my opinion, was the most consistent offensive producer for the Dodgers in the first half of the season. And you just asked, people were clamoring to make sure Teo came back. We're like, why have they not signed him yet? He bet on himself with the 1-year deal. He ended up he could have gone anywhere and he wanted to play in LA. He ended up parlaying that into a 3-year deal where he left. Yes, I know it's deferred, blah, 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 but he left money on the table. And Teo has a very different personality than Michael Conforto does. But what Michael Conforto, you don't want Michael Conforto in the 3-hole or the 4-hole, even your 5 spot, but where he is and what he does for you defensively, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Sorry, Parker. We only have a couple minutes left. Yeah. So I just want to get into one more thing before we get going, and then let you talk about where we can find you and all that. But you spent time with Nancy B. Heffley. You were there while she was a little bit towards the end of the year. Unfortunately, she passed away over this weekend. Just give us a story that you may have about Nancy B.
Well, she's just so sweet, first of all. She is a Dodger institution, right? And her son, Mark Heffley, had posted on Facebook that unfortunately his mom, Nancy B., passed away. And while it's sad for their family and sad for the Dodger community, I'm so glad that she is reunited with her longtime love, Bill. He and Nancy were married for 60 some odd years, and he was a fixture at the ballpark as well. But Nancy and I, the first couple of years I was with the Dodgers, 14, 15, 16, when Vin Scully was still doing the games, there wasn't a sideline reporter. Vin doesn't need a sideline reporter, right? So I was in the press box during the game, and I literally sat on that top row 2 seats away from the organ. So I was next to Nancy B. For the entire game for like 3 or 4 seasons. And she's just a sweet woman, right? Like, she's just a fixture of the Dodger press box. She's a fixture of the Dodger community. She's the soundtrack to so many people's lives at the ballpark in the summertime. And she was everything that was good about the Dodgers. And obviously I love Dieter Rule now, the organist, but there was something very special. She was like your grandmother, right? There's something very special about Nancy B. So may she rest in peace. And now she's reunited with Bill, but certainly a loss to the Dodger community for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we got a great episode. If anybody missed it yesterday, Dieter had some great stuff on Nancy as well, just kind of talking about her legacy. And you couldn't have said it better, Alanna. Again, I just want to thank you so much for being here. We got to, get over to our Travis and DeMarco show where they're going to react to a lot more Dodger stuff. But let me roll out the red carpet for you. Alanna, where can we find you? Where can we find all your stuff? And of course, we want to hear about Guidry's, all the dog situations.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you can catch me on all the socials at Alanna Rizzo. I'm on Foul Territory with the guys over there. Dodgers Territory, of course. I'm a co-host with Clint Pasillas. And then I also co-host Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal. There's a lot of territories, people. I'm doing some stuff with Sportsnet, talking a national perspective of all 30 clubs and how that affects the Toronto Blue Jays. I got some stuff coming up with Nesson, just, some altcast stuff, talking all 30 clubs and how it affects the Red Sox. And then some more stuff coming down the pike. So I'm all over the place. You can't get rid of me, but I will always, always bleed blue. Happy to be on with you guys today.
Thank you so much, Alanna. Really appreciate it. And that's going to do it for the Blue Review. I appreciate you as always for coming on. We got to do this more throughout the season. Thank you every day. Be here 8:30 to 8:55 on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. Thank you to LAX. And we'll see you tomorrow. Go Dodgers.